I think this podcast is for if you're around 5 people all the way up, 150, whatever it is, and you still feel stuck in the day to day, if you still feel, like you're wading through the mud, if you still, look at your task list and you don't complete the things that you feel like you need to be able to be doing, this is the episode and this is the book that you should pick up and spend some time on. We'll just kick this thing off. Let's just kick it off from the tippity top. All right. So this episode, a little bit different. I've been reading a book. I wish I could hold it up because it's been, I think, very motivational and powerful in a very tactical way. So sometimes books have a good theme and you're like, that makes sense, but how do I really implement this in my life? And I think this book called 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss is one that has a lot of applications to us as business owners and specifically as shop owners. And so we're going to dive into that today. We've got a bunch of quotes, things I want to get into and why this applies to so many of us. I think it's just insane. I was like, someone is watching me. And this is really there's a strong emotional connection to this book. All right. But real quick, before we jump in though, 4 incredible sponsors, their names. And if you guess the first one correct, send me an email, bruce@printavo.com. I'm going to send you a little something. All right. So here we go. First one, Super Color.
You didn't let me pick.
Oh, oops. Wait, did you pick someone else?
No, I was actually going to pick Supercolor at the same time.
Let's go. Supercolor shared something. And the reason why I picked them first is because they shared something really exciting, a whole new website refresh that makes ordering transfers insanely quick, like insane. So it's still kind of beta, but I'm teasing it.
Ooh.
And we got to get Run back on the show so he could talk about it a bit more. But Supercolor is the world's best heat transfer. It's made for screen printers by screen printers, and they understand the pressures and expectations of running a business like that. And so they pride themselves in being super fast, super easy, and having super support. I think that's such a big piece of a company is a great team to be able to help when things do go wrong. So mention Printavo15, write that in the promo code box and that gets you 15% off your order.
Bruce, have you heard of Multicraft_Daddy? If you need ink supplies or a daddy, Multicraft Screen Printing and Digital Supplies for over 50 years has been providing you with top brands at competitive prices. If you mention the Printavo pod, you'll receive an extra 10% off your first order. Dave Eggers and the Multicraft team, they give away free supplies on every show that we do. So if you DM Dave, that's Multicraft_Daddy, and let him know that you heard this episode and you'd like to enter in to get free stuff. It could be PMI tape. It could be emulsion. It could be a whole lot of things, whatever Dave's coming up with. Go ahead and shoot him a message right now. We appreciate Multicraft and everything they do for us. So thanks so much, Multicraft.
Easy way. If you're spending hours cleaning screens, that is a thing of the past with EasyWay's screen printing and screen cleaning chemicals. Their innovative formulas are designed to work quickly and effectively so you spend less time cleaning and more time creating. Plus, EasyWay is passionate about empowering printers of all skill levels. They actually do have an awesome team. They're there to help. Honestly, they've got a ton of helpful resources and expert advice to help you succeed in screen printing.
Alex was just in Guatemala. Pretty cool. Selling chemicals and reclaim stuff down there. It's kind of nuts.
Wow.
An international company, if you will. Speaking of an international company, if you need a solution to improve efficiency and reduce costs in your art department, you need to hit up GraphicSource. GraphicSource offers industry-leading outsource options for truly becoming a part of your team. They plug and play with Printavo and other shop management softwares. And when it comes to SEPs, mocks, creative art, order management, embroidery, digitizing, back office, and customer service, there's no better company in our industry to work with. They have over 30 years in the game. They really know and understand shop needs and have a proven track record of success. You can hit them up, graphicsource.com. Use the coupon code PrintavoPod24. You'll get 50% off your first vector, SEP, or embroidery order. We have 5 GraphXers on our team. They are incredible. They are a staple in our business. We would not be anywhere without them. So thank you so much, GraphicSource. Please hit them up if you need help in your art department. All right. Let's jump in.
You've read 4-Hour Workweek, right?
It's been a minute.
Ago.
It's been a minute.
Well, this book is old, and I'm finally getting on the train. I think it's 15 years or so old, maybe 12 years old. But I listened to a podcast with Tim Ferriss on it, and I was like, wow, I need to dive a little bit deeper into this thought process. So I'm going to give you a little bit of the high level, and then I've got 6 different quotes that I'd love your take on, and for us to just dive deeper on and get your thoughts. So first of all, the book, go ahead.
Bruce, can you give a little bit of a premise on who most people know Tim Ferriss at this point, if you haven't heard of him? Growth hacker, investor. Can you give a little background and color on it?
Yeah, definitely. So Tim Ferriss, big accomplished author. The most famous book is 4-Hour Workweek, although he has a couple of other big ones: 4-Hour Body, 4-Hour Chef, and he was like a renowned salsa dancer for a long time. Very early in on VAs, so virtual assistants. He was a big user of those to help delegate. Now, he ran a company for a long time. He ran a supplements company, and that's really how he achieved financial success earlier. I think he ran it for 10 years or plus or so, and he really scaled that company and then was able to sell it when he was tired of it. I think applies here from 4-Hour Workweek is that he really changed his life for the better. So tell me if this sounds familiar. And to a lot of our listeners, I'm sure it does too. Working endless hours, right? Checking your bank account at the end of the month, making sure that you're able to clear payroll, that you're able to take some money home, not knowing your goal long term, like just shoveling dirt out. You're picking up dirt with the shovel every single week, and you're trying to get things done and just to move forward. You're really unsure of what's next, and honestly, it's starting to feel a little burnt out. Like, where are we going with this? And is this what I'm supposed to be doing? When we feel stretched thin and we feel like we need to get to the next level, I feel like a lot of times, me especially, will double down on that. We'll, spend more time doing it, go deeper. Look, I got to do it. I'm the superhero here. And maybe this is an ego thing here, but I could just do it. I'll force it through. I'll spend more time at the business working on it. And
little David Goggins.
Yeah.
Go hard.
What's his whole thing?
Go hard.
Stay hard. Go hard. Something like that.
Ooh.
But I think that we think working harder is the solution a lot of times. And if you look at, there's a good analogy in the book. It's like, someone that's going to the gym and being fit isn't there for 3 hours, 4 hours, every single day. I mean, you could have a really good, efficient workout for 45 minutes. You could be very fit. You could have good heart health. You could, look good. You could be toned, whatever you want, in 45 minutes. And so the real question was, well, why do we think that working harder and spending more time in something is more valuable? Isn't the goal longer term to have financial independence, but also to work less? Like, I don't think anyone has ever said, hey, look, just take 10 seconds. Just don't look at your phone. Don't look at your email. Don't look at anything. Don't answer the phone. Close the door. In 10 years from now, do you want to be working harder? Do you want to spend more time at the business and make just as much, maybe a little less, maybe a little bit more? No, no one says that. They want to be a multiplier of what they're making now. They want to work, less on the business. They want to be on the business, not in the business. And so how do we get there? Now, that's just a high level intro of 4-Hour Workweek, and we can dive a little bit deeper now. But
I've been using this term that your business, there are these golden handcuffs to your business. And I think when any business owner makes the decision to own a company, it's liberating. I own a business. I'm free. I get to make my own hours. I get to pave my own destiny. I can take off when I want. I can take on when I want. And that is far from what actually happens. And that's almost, do you feel like that's sad? Does that make you sad? That's like a get rich quick scheme. That's like a multi-level marketing. Like, just buy a business and everything will change. And it makes me sad because I think that's when people stay in business and then they're drowning from their business and their business is suffocating them and it's not liberating them and it's burning their life out. And they're so deep into it, they can't turn back. Do you think that there's a point of no return?
I think it's an addiction. I think that we get a small dopamine. It's like scrolling on Facebook or Instagram. They've figured out the algorithm to make it such that maybe on the 10th post that you scroll past is something that you're going to really find interesting and is going to pique your, whether it's a political thing, it's a photo, it's a family member thing, you get a small dopamine hit from that. And that we as business owners get small dopamine hits from, doing the things that we feel is what we should be doing or the tasks that we are checking off or completing. And that gets addictive. And so you want to do more of it if you think that you're pushing things forward. And unfortunately, that's not the case. And as we're going to go through in the book, that's just, probably the opposite. In fact, you're probably strangling the business more than you think.
Those that know me pretty well know that I have a pretty intense schedule. I live in Chicago. My business is in Central Illinois. I'm driving back and forth. And it was probably 4 or 5 years ago that I took pride in working with my head cut off. I was like, that's going to be my thing. That's what I'm going to be known for. I'm going to put in 80 hours a week. I'm going to pull all-nighters. I'm going to spend the night in the shop, wake up there in the morning. That was like it's your imposter syndrome. It starts to define you. It starts to turn into your identity. And you think that's what you're supposed to be doing. And I feel like if I were to have put a body cam on me and watched myself for 2 years, like, I'd be like, what the heck were you freaking doing? I don't know. Like, if you were to watch a repeat of yourself, Bruce, in mid Printavo days as you were scaling, would you be disappointed in yourself?
I would say, why are you trying to be everyone to everybody? And I think that you're trying to do the right thing, but I think deep down it's an ego. It's an ego thing where you're trying to satisfy that self-image of you being the superhero in it.
And so what you're saying is you're trying to win so badly, not even for yourself anymore, but for the world. You're in deep. This is your identity. Is that it?
I think it's your identity. And I think it's the only thing that because when you were, call it 1 to 5 people, let's say, yeah, you have to do that. I think that you absolutely have to really push things forward and put the time in to be able to get there. I think this podcast, is for if you're around 5 people all the way up, 150, whatever it is, and you still feel stuck in the day to day, if you still feel, like you're wading through the mud, if you still, look at your task list and you don't complete the things that you feel like you need to be able to be doing, this is the episode and this is the book that you should pick up and spend some time on.
All right. You picked some quotes. You picked some that made you really happy. Do you want me to read a couple to you and let you riff on it?
Sure. We can do the first one.
All right. Let's do that. These are Tim Ferriss bangers. Excitement is the more practical synonym for happiness. Focus on that.
Yeah. So why this is interesting, right? So, there's the thought process of, oh, well, I need to be spending time on like what makes me happy, right? That like if you step back and think about it, maybe you're spending 15% of the time working on stuff that makes you happy. But what exactly does that mean? And I think the synonym of excitement, like what excites you, what gets you fired up, like if it's closing a big sale that was really exciting, then awesome. That's a good North Star. That's a good happiness factor. And just taking a minute, which actually is probably a half a day, to actually think about what are the activities in the business that add value, but also cross-reference the excitement factor is the truer superpower that Tim talks about. So those are some of those activities that you can have a multiplier effect on the business. But caution, like it is a cross-reference of what moves a business forward. I had a really good mentor a long time ago. I told him, I was like, yeah, this is probably when we were 5, 6, 7 people. And it's like, I really love product design. But unfortunately I have to spend less time on product design and I have to do all this other stuff. And he was like, well, do you want to be a designer or do you want to run the business? And I was like, damn, that kind of sucks. So I guess I'm not going to cross reference design and, you know, actually running the company and content or whatever the things that help move the business forward.
But Bruce, like our friend Walker Williams at Teespring, founder of Teespring, like as he's building Fourth Wall, he's like, I love product design now. And as he's building for a second time, he's like, I'm going to just focus on that and hire executives and leaders to actually grow this stuff and do the things that I hate doing. If you were to go back into that day, would you have thought to hire a CEO or a VP of sales early on so that you could just focus on product?
I would have thought about that now, but I wouldn't have been able to see that then. And I think that's part of the whole purpose. I want to mention too is the only reason that this is easier for us, I feel like, to talk about is because we've been there at that spot. And I'm hoping that when people walk away from this one that haven't been in that spot yet or haven't seen around the corner yet, that you can do this sooner than later.
So, Bruce, I'm just going to pose this question: if excitement is finding, is a synonym for happiness, but there are needs in the business, like the rent is due, screens need reclaimed, there's no one to do payroll, there's no one to do all that. How do you balance the needs of the business to keep your door open and what gets you excited? Because excitement sounds like play. And a business owner listening to this is like, these dumbasses, do they think I have hours in the day to find what excites me and do more of that? I can barely keep the lights on.
I agree. I think below, 5, 6 people, and absolutely that's all you have to do is just literally get the shovel and dig shit out of the ground. There is a point, and I do believe it's between 5 to 10 people that time spent is worth less and less and less. So if it's worth, a 1, like if it's worth 1, it's worth 0.6 when you're at, every hour you spend is worth 60% when you're at 10 people and maybe 30% at 15 people if you're doing those same activities.
I think the way that I would maybe summarize this is figure out what makes you excited, because what makes you excited makes you happy. And no matter what you do in your business, don't lose that. Whether it's a daily thing, whether it's, whatever that is. For me, I love live activations and designing like pop-up stores. That's like what I nerd out on. And a couple times a year, I want to be hands-on in that because that's my creative outlet. That gets me super excited. And that's something I'll tell my team, like, I'm going to play. Steven's going to play. And that gets me excited, right? And so it's important to figure out what excites you and at least notate it, at least be conscious of it. All right.
Number 2, this one probably should be at the end because this is probably one of the most important things. We've talked about this a little bit on this podcast, but if there's one thing, here's a quote: if there's one thing I can accomplish today to be satisfied, what would it be? Now, you're going to immediately say, well, I've got 8 things, or I've got 3 things most important today. Really, really try, and I'm actively doing this transition now, but really force yourself when you kick off the day. What is the one thing? And even better yet, the bonus tip, the day before, look at the list and then select the first one. And that is for the next day to focus on. So immediately when you open your laptop, that's what you're starting on. What is the one thing, if you were to do it today, it would be a great day and you'd be satisfied? What do you think?
I'm going to ask a couple questions here. Are these things that are lingering, that are casting a shadow over your day, that's like a rip the Band-Aid off? Or are these things that are like...
Could be.
Okay.
Like parting ways with someone that's not working out. That's a lingering thing. That could go on for months.
Oof. So is it what is the one thing that gives you the most amount of anxiety or the most amount of worry or the most amount of shame or the most amount of guilt, or the one thing
that you just have to, you really need to get done because you know it's going to have a big effect. It's a bigger project. It could be, hey, look, we got to get outbound going. Like, we're depending on inbound. It's fluctuating too much. I've been talking about outbound for a year. I need to create a plan to do it. All right. I'm blocking off 2 days to be able to start to create a plan and test it to see if it works. unfortunately, when we open our laptops for the day, what do? What do I do?
We put out fires.
You check email, you go through Slack, you respond to all these individual things, you chit chat with this person, you talk to that person, you know, uh, Cindy, you just, you know, you burn through half the day right there. And then the other half of the day, you're probably less productive after lunch and it's a wrap. And then tomorrow we look at the same list and we do the same thing again. I'm telling you, the first thing, don't open email, don't go through social media, don't go through any of this thing. If you can try and really, it's hard. It's hard. Your brain literally fights you to do this, but to want to try to do that first thing, I'm actively doing it in the morning and you have to like focus or else you divert so quickly to little things that don't really make a difference, but really focus on that most important thing to get done for the day.
Okay. I think that you can categorize your business and the activities that you do in two buckets. Things that support the business, answering emails, like keeping up with the daily upkeep, paying bills, like administrative support. And then there are things that push the business forward: growth, sales, marketing, building processes, like needle moving activities. I think what you're saying, if I'm hearing you correctly, is prioritize one needle moving activity per day before you do the support of the business and the basic crap that like are those little tiny pebbles that we talk about. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, because I'm going to argue the point that the pebbles you should not be doing anyway. And
Fine. Fine, Tim Ferriss, like whatever,
yeah.
But we're still going to do them. Let's get back to earth a little bit.
Okay.
Even if that needle moving activity takes 5 minutes, if you find satisfaction in that, your day is complete, right?
I guess I can see that perspective.
So I was just working with someone and we were talking about putting stickers on the ground for the way that screens micro registrations work. You know what I'm talking about? And it'll tell you if you turn the knob to the right, it comes at you. If you turn on the left, it goes away from you, I guess. Left turn, screens move away. Right turn, screens move to your belly. Don't forget to take off reg marks. Don't forget to zero out press before registration. And we were just complaining about press operators that forget to do this. And we just came to the conclusion, like, what if today you made this diagram? And what if today you went to your banner printer and printed off a sticker? And what if today you put that on the ground? That could be all you've done today, but you could be like, I'm so happy.
That's a great point.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
that's an accomplished day.
Even if it's as stupid as putting a sticker on. And I'm sure that's
something you've been pushing off for whoever knows how long.
We designed it during the call and I was like, hey, I'm just sending you this, like, go print it off. And it's like, it's done. And it's like, it doesn't matter what you do for the rest of the day. You found satisfaction in moving your business 1 point forward, and it could only take 5 minutes. So I think what I'm hearing is satisfaction needs to be done first and quickly. And there should only really be one big thing per day, but it doesn't need to be a huge project, right?
No, I don't think it needs to be a huge project, but I do think what's important is figuring out your prioritization. So, everyone has a list and a list to infinity of things that we need to do, but what is the prioritization? Like if it's like helping to make Reg a lot easier, and that's what bugs you and you get tapped on about, or it's just throwing people off, then that needs to be at the top of the list, right? Because again, it'll be easy to open your laptop and go through email and, look at Instagram, set up this integration, chat with people on Slack, would do whatever. And then I'll see if I can get to the sticker later.
I feel like the second I get what I'm done with for the day, like my satisfaction list or my needle mover,
I feel great.
I feel like I can I don't want to say screw around for the rest of the day, but like I'm less worried about the day. Do you feel that way?
I mean, it's the same feeling as like leaving the gym.
Isn't it kind of the feeling like if you go to the gym at 6 a.m. and you have an amazing workout, the rest of your day is just downhill? You're just like, I check the box for the day. And then you're like, I don't care what I eat as much. I'm good. I've closed my rings. Like, I don't care what I do for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it sets the rest of the day up really well. And this next quote is so directly related to this. He says, being busy is most often used as a disguise. I was wondering who deleted that. It's used as a disguise for avoiding few critically important but uncomfortable actions. All right, let me read this one more time. Being busy is most often used as a disguise for avoiding few critically important but uncomfortable actions.
I'll give an example of I'll do everything. Have you used Rocket Money before?
Yeah,
isn't it sick?
I love Rocket Money.
It's hard to set up. It takes a minute, but it's really
Rocket Money,
cool.
by the way, is for like personal finance budgeting. So
yeah,
you can categorize transactions and you see how much you spend in different categories, and then you can track it every month.
It's so sick. And I've had a few connections that have been broken, and it's like that thing I stare at every day. I'm like, yeah, I need to do that. Yeah, I need to do that. Yeah, I need to do that. It's going to take like 30 minutes to go reset my Wealthfront account and Robinhood account and go in and do all those things. And I'm just going to feel so much better. And so I will do everything else in my day. And then it's at the bottom of my to-do list. And it's just, do you have those kind of things, or am I just tripping?
Oh, no, I do. And I do question if they are still on the to-do list. Like sometimes I literally just wipe the to-do list and I start fresh because if this thing has just been on here for so long, it's clearly not important, right? It's like we don't need to do it, or I'm prioritizing completely wrong. So
okay, so what would be examples of being busy in a print shop? Being busy is most often used as a disguise for avoiding a few critically important but uncomfortable actions.
Well, let me tell you one example from Printavo. When I was running Printavo, we have QuickBooks integration. Everybody knows. It's pretty good, but it's not the best.
You really want to go there? All right,
to put it in a very optimistic way. Working with QuickBooks is a very difficult task, and so I thought I needed to continue owning that, right? I want the rest of the engineering team to be able to spend time building new functionality, maintaining old functionality, improving scalability, all that stuff. So I'll take it on, right? And at first, it wasn't that bad. It was fine. Like I'll spend 1-2 days a week, answering support tickets about it and fixing issues about it and so on. Fast forward 6 months and it's taking up half my time. As more customers have come in, more people use the connection, there's more support, there's more maintenance with it, there's more issues, there's more, things to rework with it. And that just continued to grow. Now, very easy from the outside for, someone, especially reading this book, say, well, that's a good delegation thing. Like you've got a team, give it to them. And in fact, you as an owner, let's say your time's worth $100 an hour. Well, an engineer, maybe it's worth $50 an hour, $75 an hour, whatever it is. Easy, right? No brainer. So why didn't you do it? And I think that's a perfect example, though, of I was just being busy avoiding the important tasks that I needed to be able to work on. I was being busy saying, no, I've been doing it. I'll just do it. I could take it on. I know it super well, so it's even quicker for me to do it. But it did nothing but waste time and take away from the important tasks and distract me from those things that I was supposed to be working on and doing. So that's the example of mine.
So what I'm hearing you say is, if you make a list of all the things you do in your shop, I send out quotes, I do art approvals, I enter in stuff in QuickBooks, I have to purchase garments, I have to do deliveries, I have to fill out the press sheet to make sure that they print properly. If you say things like, it'll be faster if I just do it, this has to go.
Wait. That one's the key one. Say that one more time, then. Hold on, let me turn
It'll be faster if I turn this up. Check. If you say the words, it'll be faster if I just do it.
And you got to adjust in there too. It'll just be fast, because that's the one that I always say too. Yeah, it's just faster if I do it.
It's just faster if I do it.
Yeah.
Or this just has to go through me because no one else knows how to do it right. Or if you say, no, that person can't do it, I just have to do it. Or they're not capable of it. Those are all the tasks that you can actually delegate. You don't want to sit down and write the process and teach someone how to do it and explain it to them and build the workflow and build the Loom videos. And it could be even as far as like, our CFO, Steve, is incredible. Half of his team is in the Philippines. We're talking wiring money, paying hundreds of thousands of dollars of bills and invoicing, checking transactions, journal entries, right? Like he was an auditor in his past life. And so he knows how to run a really tight ship. People are like, what? You have people on the other side of the country wiring that much money? It's like, yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And I think the owner of the business tricks themselves out in thinking that people are not capable of doing great work.
It's our ego. And it sounds weird because you're like, what? I don't have an ego. It's no. It's our ego saying that we have to be the person that does this. And accepting that, I think, is awesome. And then being able to
I'll play devil's advocate, but Bruce, this is the only way I can really see the numbers on the business. If I don't do this, I don't have a good grip on the company. I like doing this a little bit. This is actually fun for me. Am I lying to myself?
I think, again, I'm going to put this in extreme words, but I think you're strangling the potential of your business. You're only at 60% because you're holding it back. What's an example of something that you held on to for a long time that, or maybe you could riff on? I don't know. Whatever you can think of.
Where do you want me to start? There was a point where I wanted
1983.
Back in 1980, I think this was the superhero complex of wanting to see everything, have my hand in everything, have total control and feedback of everything, be all knowing, all powerful, all seeing, have every zip, zap, and boop coming right at me, where I was like in the command center of the business at all times. And what really that meant is that I didn't trust people to own things to the same degree that I would own them. Or I didn't want to teach people how to mess up and learn for themselves. The example that I'm going to use is, when you play sports, Bruce, you play golf occasionally. You play guitar, right?
Mm-hmm.
When a new musician learns how to play an instrument, they usually are gripping the guitar super hard. They have a really tight grip, right? When you play golf for the first time, you usually have a really tight grip because you're trying to be in control.
Mm-hmm.
But the better you get, the more you realize it's about being relaxed, having a looser grip, and staying in control.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of the same in business, is if you can loosen your grip, you can actually create more control and balance rather than ruling with that crazy tight grip and iron fist and having to touch everything and everyone, right? And so it's about being relaxed and comfortable and balanced and loosening the grip on your business. Does that analogy make sense?
Yeah, I totally agree. And an easy way to do this is the next quote. Easy hack. Shorten the work time to limit the tasks to the most important ones. If you had a heart attack and had only 2 hours to work per day, what would you do? Right. And so I love that because I think time is similar to money. Like it just scales, your spending scales with the more that you're making. Time, the more that you give it, the more capacity that you have, the more things that you try to fill in to flesh it out. You ever had to leave for a flight at noon, or 1 p.m. and you're like, I have to get out of here by noon. Somehow you manage to get the most important things done that you want to be able to get done for that day. And then you zip it on out.
Travel days are great. You get all your work done early or before vacation. You tend to get really efficient. I think the interesting part, they use the quote, like if you had a heart attack and you only had 2 hours a day to work, it's interesting to see businesses where the owners are physically not capable of doing something. And so therefore they have to out delegate it, right? Like maybe someone's in a wheelchair, like whatever that might be. Maybe it's a distance thing because they're far away. They physically can't actually do it themselves. It forces or compresses them to work more efficiently. If you knew, that's why people are like, how do these super guys like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk and all of that do it? They're just time box junkies, right? Like we have 2 hours before we fly to this next place and this has to be done in the next 2 hours because there is no more time to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Tim literally talks about blocking things out on his calendar. So he'll physically put time blocks on the calendar and follow that to a T. Last but not least, a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention. There's a need to allocate attention efficiently. And I think that second part, there's a need to allocate attention efficiently is really what the task is, really what you spend time on mentally. It's really what the times, when you're at home and you're thinking about the business, it's what are you thinking about? It's easy to get spread super thin, and that does nothing but grow. Whether you're at, one person shop and you're thinking about what things are going to be like when you have 5 folks helping you, to bigger than that, it just gets thinner and thinner.
When you say the words a poverty of attention, what do you mean by that? A wealth of information creates a poverty of attention.
As in, you can't focus on the most important things again. You can't, you're focus poor in a way. You're thinking about all the little things. Remember when I told you the other day, I was like, someone wrote an email on the team that had no spaces correctly in between the period and the next capital letter, and it was bugging me. And I was like, hey, this is, what happened here? Did this come from a software thing, or did you get hacked, or what, what's going on? Why am I focusing on that? Why am I spreading myself thin thinking about these things like that? I need to be able to allocate my attention efficiently. And again, I understand, you have to think about all this stuff when you're sub 5, maybe 10 people. But if you can't start to build those skills in that range, I think that's the range where you start to build those skills. That's going to help accelerate the business later. Before then, totally agree. Everybody has to be in there, all hands on deck to push things forward. What do you think?
Yeah, I think when I was a little bit younger, I wanted everyone to know everything. I wanted to have a flat organization. And I didn't realize that by creating an org chart and siloing information and giving people exactly what they need to do their job, they would actually be way more efficient. And so I think when you have a business that's flat and everyone's doing everything and everyone has access to everything and everyone is a multitasker, and everyone wears so many hats, you can't focus on one thing, you yourself included. Right. And I think that's where you do this, I'm digging dirt out of a hole and the dirt just keeps falling back in the hole, instead of saying, I'm digging the dirt, you're moving the dirt up the hill, you're putting it in a bucket, you're taking it in a truck and you're moving it down the street. Right. So I don't know. I think we could riff on this for a long time. I'm curious, Bruce, if someone's listening to this and they're suffocating, they're like, this could also be sort of demoralizing. Where do you start?
I think the starting point is, and it's something I wish I would have done, is take a day off. Ideally not a Friday, ideally another day, like a Monday or Tuesday or something in the middle. And literally just open up paper and plan on spending a couple hours doing this task. And that's in 10 years, what do I think? What do I want to spend my time on? 10 years, right? So pretty far out. What do I want to spend my day on? What do I want the business to look like? What do I want to do? Really specific. So what's the income I want to make? What's the profitability I want the business to be at? What's the team to look like? And why? Don't forget to mention why. You could say, I want to have an income of, $5 million a year. Well, why? Well, what does that bring you? What does that help? What does that support? And then break that into the 3-year, and then break that into the 1 year, so that you're really focused on going there. And then when you start to make some of these decisions around hiring and around time that's spent, are you chipping away towards the 3-year? Are you chipping away towards the 1 year? Are you chipping away really towards are you making 10-year decisions? And I think that's I feel like that's the big thing that we forget about when we're just trying to get to Friday.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, and shops are listening to this, is Bruce, I'm at 80-hour work week. I don't know how I'm going to get to a 4-hour work week. I am drowning right now. What you're telling them is get away, take a half a day, take 2 hours by yourself, go in the mountains, go hug
Do
a
it on
tree.
the Sunday. Do it like if you can't, yeah, do it on the Sunday. Go to the coffee shop and just write. Like, what's in 10 years? What do you want to have? Like, what do you want? Like, where do you want to live? All of these different things. Think about you as a life, professionally and personally.
I think this is where something that I've learned in business, or something that both of us learned. Both of us are part of communities, if you will, like exec communities, founder groups, and we pay for them, but it forces us to do these things, and now they've become habit. Like every month we're forced to go to a meeting that's 3 hours. It's almost like an AA meeting for business.
Yeah.
And so then we can actually vocalize it and tell our focus group, this is what we want to be working on, or we go on retreats, or we do all those things. And so it's like, I almost think the advice that I give shops is you have to you can't do it alone.
Yeah, you're right. The group to hold each other accountable is way more powerful than I thought. I really underestimated that.
And that might just be like, Bruce, you, me, and Kevin meet monthly to do our goals, family, fun, fitness, finance. And that's just an accountability thing that the three of us do. So it might just be a group of people, right? But you have to find others that can help you do it. So this is good.
Read the 4-Hour Work Week. You only have to read the half of it, because the other half gets into stuff that doesn't really matter, like how to create a business like this. You already have one. So, love the book. Thanks guys for listening. We've got some more. I'm reading another one right now. It's Traction. The author of Traction's got a new book out. So I'm 22% Kindle says. So we're making slow but sure progress. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully that was informative. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy all the stuff we're putting out, it's really helpful. We love to just be able to see it. That means that we're doing a good job. To subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.